Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about the 1941 crime thriller High Sierra. And in this movie, gangster Roy Earle is back on the street after 10 years in jail. Earle's release was engineered by his gangster friend Big Mac, and that means that Earle owes Mac a job in exchange for getting him out of jail. A hotel robbery to pick up a cool $500,000 in jewellery. Now, $500,000 might not sound like much today, but in 1941, gasoline was 15 cents a gallon. That's less than 4 cents a litre for those of us in the metric world. So, $500,000, pretty big deal. Earle, of course, has company on the job, a trio of younger wannabe gangsters, as well as Marie, the girlfriend of one of the youngsters. Roy is initially very displeased to find Marie at the meetup, and he wants her gone, which is ironic given that she soon proves to be the smartest and most reliable ally that he has. In any case, Roy's efforts to make good on his debt to Big Mac and to find his place in a world that's changed a lot in his absence form the centerpiece of the movie. And if you're expecting that everything goes smoothly, well, you maybe should watch more movies, because obviously it doesn't. So, playing Roy Earle was Humphrey Bogart's first outing as a leading man, though, as you can see from the image on your screen, he still didn't get top billing. That honour went to leading lady Ida Lupino, who plays Marie, which, I can't fault as a decision at the time. She was a very talented actor, and she was, at the time, a much more bankable name. This was, after all, Bogart's first leading role. The film was a critical and commercial success, and a career breakthrough for Bogart. This movie and then The Maltese Falcon, released later the same year, turned him into a bona fide leading man. And High Sierra is a good film, but it's also a product of its time. So let's talk about what that means for modern audiences, which, presumably, unless you're a time-travelling person from the mid-20th century, includes you. So first of all, it's absolutely the case that both leads do great jobs in their roles. Bogart effortlessly shifts through many gears as Roy Earle, giving his aging gangster a real sense of gravitas. It's easy to see why this role opened people's eyes to his talent. He's believably the hardball crook who'll kill a man or die himself rather than back down, but he's also believably the kind of man who'll adopt a small dog or fall for an innocent young woman. Lupino also knocks it out of the park as the feisty, intelligent Marie, whose hard and cynical exterior masks her own brand of tenderness. She's not the innocent who so completely captures Roy's heart, but she is the real right match for him. Both of these characters are deeply flawed people who do bad things, but they're also sympathetic enough that the audience might want to see them find some kind of happiness. And a lot of credit for that has to go to the people playing them. They do a really fantastic job. Now, on the flip side, this is an 80-year-old film. It was made at a time when Chinese immigrants to the US were still denied the right to citizenship, when racial segregation was still in place across the South, and where laws prohibiting interracial marriages were still in force in a majority of US states. Now, while we still have a long time to go today in terms of giving genuine equal opportunity to people of all genders and races, and we also have a lot of old white men who are doing their best to ensure that we don't do that, the world of today is very different to that of 1941, and so is our media. High Sierra does include some elements, most notably an example of the horrible trope of the buffoonish comical Negro that come across very poorly today. Also, its pacing makes it feel rather dated. Modern audiences tend to have different expectations around pacing than audiences of the 40s, as you might imagine. We tend in modern films to have a lot more big moments sprinkled across the length of the movie. High Sierra's long-form, low-key, inexorable march to its finale will not work for all viewers, and I found it a little bit slow at times, I will admit. So, there are some things that for modern audiences might come across poorly or be less satisfying because of the film's age. The other thing that I want to talk about is High Sierra's kind of role in cinema history. While there are different opinions as to whether or not this film itself is actually an example of film noir, the 40s evolution of the 30s gangster film, because many would argue that film noir form wasn't really defined until The Maltese Falcon, cinema historians do tend to agree that whether or not High Sierra is more accurately characterised as a gangster film or a pre-noir film rather than as a true noir, it at the very least represents the birth of film noir. And we can see this in the fact that 30s gangster films were externalised in their themes. They focused on society's reaction to the gangster's exploits, a police crackdown on a violent mob, for instance. And they followed a fairly straightforward criminals are bad view of morality. High Sierra pioneered a shift to greater psychological focus and exploration of character motivation and of moral ambiguity. Ray and Marie commit crimes. Ray commits murder. But while characters in the film label him a mad dog who must be put down, the film itself shows more sides to the story and more nuance than that. And that nuance and that ambiguity and that psychological focus is very much a feature of film noir. So at the end of the day, that's High Sierra. Overall, I think if you have an interest in film history, or in film noir in particular, or you simply want to see two bravura acting performances, then it's worth checking out. Just go into it knowing that certain parts of it have not aged well at all and may offend. Next time then, something that's deliberately offensive, the 2010 Japanese gross-out action comedy Mutant Girl Squad. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.